Welcome to On Point by Target River, the podcast where strategy meets execution with a little fun. I'm your host, Brian, and each episode will break down what actually works in marketing, sales, and growth so you can stay sharp, focused, and always on point. Let's dive in. Who loves to travel? Who loves to experience new things? I think most of us do, right? So I don't know where you live. Those listeners that are out there or viewers that are out there, are you here in the United States? Maybe you're in another country. Many of us often get excited about those amazing new trips and travels, okay? One of my daughters, for instance, she just visited, I think, her 34th country already, and she just turned 23 a few days ago. That's even more countries that I've been to, and I'm just a little bit older than 23. And it's incredible and amazing all the places she's been able to go. But I was teasing her the other day because I said, hey, have you been to here or here or here or here? And I knew the answer. The answer was no, but I was just showing her the example that we often can forget that there's incredible places to visit right in our own backyards, right? So I spent a lot of my life in San Diego and in Seattle, both incredible places. Love both of those cities. Many amazing things to do and see, and especially in the state of Washington, so many natural wonders and parks and stuff. But I think about how often people that I grew up with and was around would go on these trips. And I think part of it is maybe the fact that, which sounds more exciting to you? Oh my gosh, I'm going on a trip to Iceland versus, hey, I'm going up to another state to see X, Y, and Z. Many times I feel like we plan our trips based around how exciting it will sound to the people we share this with, right? And we forget about the fact that there's amazing things locally. So I bring up Iceland because last year, one of my sons and I had the privilege to go spend 2 weeks in Iceland. It was incredible. My son planned an amazing trip with all sorts of natural wonders that we got to experience. One of the things that we saw a lot of were these basalt pillars, these incredible pillars made out of rock formations and stuff that have formed over the centuries and millennia and such, small and large and all shapes and sizes and vertical and horizontal ones, all incredible, okay, in Iceland. And everybody that's heard that I've gone to Iceland is like, oh my gosh, how was it? It's amazing. I want to go there, etc. Okay, fast forward to this year, just about 2 months ago, he and I did a little road trip up into Idaho and into the state of Washington, okay? And we went to this random natural preserve in the middle of nowhere in central Washington. No one else was there that day, and we saw basalt pillars that arguably were bigger and more impressive than the ones that we saw in Iceland, okay? But if I'm telling you a story and I'm like, oh, hey, I just went on a little road trip up to Washington and saw these great basalt pillars, or, oh, hey, I got to go to Iceland last year and see these basalt pillars, what do we tend to get more excited about, right? Well, I think we know the answer there, but how I'm relating this to marketing is we often get excited and enamored about the new thing, the thing that sounds more exciting, sexy, appealing, etc., right? And in many cases, that's the new customer, the new student, the new member of our church, the new donor. And we forget about the local thing. Or in other words, the person that's already engaged with you, the person that's already purchasing from you, or is right down the road, so to speak, that might want to purchase from you, the family that's already started attending your church, that donor that's already made the commitment to donate to you, even if it was $5 one time, okay? So as we think about this in our marketing principles, what are we doing to ensure that we're engaging and retaining that core existing audience? For many of you, you might know the answer to these questions, but there's this topic around cost per acquisition, right? What are we spending to acquire that new customer, student, donor, church member, etc.? And many times we focus that formula around the efforts to bring in the new person, okay? But what efforts and what dollar is necessary to keep that existing person? Because if our focus is on the front door and we miss who's going out the back door, we're really going in the wrong direction, right? Or our true cost per acquisition is higher than we're claiming and giving ourselves credit for. So here's our challenge in our discussion today. As we think about our efforts, I want you to rethink things. I want you to go back to the drawing board to say, okay, rather than our first focus being on that new client acquisition, what are we doing as a team to make sure we don't lose anybody that we've already got in the fold, in the family? Okay. What tools do we need to use? What frequency do we need to use them? And what messaging should we be conveying to keep our current family, current customers or donors or whatever it is, engaged, involved, informed, and excited about what's going on and what's happening, right? So many years ago, I was a member of a church that, when I first started going, had about 300-ish members. We met in the gym of a high school. When I left that church because I relocated to a new area, it was having upwards of 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 members attending on a single weekend. We, of course, were no longer meeting in that high school gym. We had taken over and had multiple buildings about maybe a half mile from where that high school gym was. But here's the ironic thing. I felt just as connected to people in what had become a mega church as I did when I first started going to that church when it had a few hundred people. Now, why was that? Because the church had a dedicated plan of attack to make sure that no matter how large they got, there were people connecting to everybody, okay? They put a concerted effort because they realized this principle. If our job and our basic mission as a church is to introduce more people to the Savior, then we want to make sure that they're continuing to grow as well and live out that basic commandment or principle to love God and to serve other people and to love other people, right? And I think they nailed it on the head because they were so focused on making sure that people had a good experience. So then what happened? Well, if you came and you were a new person and a visitor, you were welcomed, you were greeted, you were connected. They made sure you connected with other people that maybe had similar life experiences going on, maybe young single adults, young married couples, couples with children, senior citizens, and the like. All sorts of great ways to engage. So then you as a new person had a good experience. So what happened? You would go tell friends and family, oh, hey, I'm going to this new church. So they had the growth happening even though they weren't necessarily marketing. So as we think about that, excuse me, will that change your efforts? Will that change the messaging you're doing? Will that change the way you budget? It absolutely should. Many of us spend so much money on the mass outreach to get the new people, and we forget about the tactics and even the necessary little budget to keep our existing people. So when you go through things, here's some of the tools that you can utilize to help ensure your existing customers or family, so to speak, stay with you, okay? How are you engaging them via email? How are you engaging them via SMS? Have you got them to subscribe to your social media platforms? Have you taken that information and uploaded it to different ad platforms to ensure that the next time those individuals are on a certain ad platform, whether that's video or visual ads and stuff, that you're keeping them updated with information, okay? Because, of course, we can't assume everybody is going to subscribe or follow our social media channels. We can't assume that everybody's going to open that email that we send to them or that SMS message that we send to them. But when we put a plan together that reaches them multiple ways using an omni-channel or multi-channel approach, what happens? Well, our odds of reaching everybody that's part of our existing consumer base or family, the odds of them seeing messaging about the great things that are going on, the new opportunities, the new products, if we're a nonprofit, the new ways we're helping those that we serve, they significantly go up, right? Because maybe they missed the email this month, but they saw something on Facebook, and then they saw something when they were watching their favorite show on Paramount, and then they saw the SMS text that came out. So when we take our efforts and start there,
goodness happens because we keep them around and they become our advocates. And then when we invite them to give us that positive review, that testimonial, that video testimonial, that statement of endorsement on Yelp or Google My Business or Bing Places for Business, or if it's a school, great schools or niche or all the different places we can go, they're more willing to do it for us, right? Then they're more willing to become a repeat customer. So then we talk about that lifetime value that they offer. Well, we only get there because we focus efforts on keeping them around, keeping them engaged, keeping them excited, okay? Of course, we're building our own set of influencers. We all love this concept of influencers and that. Well, I would challenge you. You don't necessarily need to start with a big budget to pay influencers. You can curate them right within your own existing fold if you're delivering on your commitment, on your promise to them to give them a good experience, whatever that might be, a good donor experience, a good education experience, and so forth. And when you've engaged them, they're going to be willing to share that information, oftentimes without you even asking them, right? I remember thinking back to that church. We came up with a little bumper sticker, and it simply said, friends don't let friends miss Eastlake Church, okay? And it was fun. We had that thing all over the place. We didn't sell it. It was just available, and more people put that bumper sticker out there. And then the conversation started. It's like, wait, what? Tell me about that church. What's going on? That was an organic thing that happened because we were intentional about thinking, how are we going to ensure that people that come have a great experience, want to stay, and then, of course, want to tell their friends and all of those things. But when we focus our efforts and shift and start with a mass outreach effort to others first, we're going to completely get the mark. And then it's going to be this perpetual cycle of gaining one new customer or one new family or one new donor simply to replace the one that we already had that we lost out the back door. So make sure you have a good customer, donor, church member retention program and plan in place. Sometimes to do it right, you are going to need to spend some dollars, but it's a fraction of the dollars than trying to get somebody brand new to come through the front door.
Thanks for listening to On Point by Target River. If you're ready to grow your organization with real strategy that generates meaningful results, visit targetriver.com and connect with our team today. Stay focused, stay winning, and stay on point. We'll see you next time.